and maniacs, you religious nutcases are killing the park, murdering it. Back in the day, people could attend Speaker's Corner and listen to political discussions, listen to issues that affect people socially. But look around you. One religious speaker over there, one over there, one there, one there, and one there.
I offer $2,000.
They have me surrounded. You are killing Hyde Park Speaker's Corner. If you love your church so much, go to church or your mosque. I'm not saying that people shouldn't come down here and preach the word of God, but look at how the park has been butchered with this nonsense. Muslims claiming that their word is the only word, and Christians saying our God is the only God. What a load of nonsense. Everyone has the right to worship whichsoever God they choose. We are all the same people, regardless of sex, race, creed, color, sexual orientation, or political persuasion. We are all the same people, and we should allow everyone the right to find their own direction, to find their own path in life. But oh no! You have Muslims, Christians and Jews fighting and murdering and killing each other and saying they're doing it in the name of God. What bullshit! What bullshit! I have met good Muslims and I have met bad Muslims. I have met good Christians and I have met bad Christians. I have met good Jews and I have met bad Jews. So you can run around with all your bullshit as much as you like, talking about my God is better than your God. At the end of the day, we are all the same people. Don't come and tell me about your God, because I'm intelligent enough to determine who or what I want to follow. So don't come and tell me about, oh, read this book. This will open up a path for you. I've been there and I've done that. You be concerned about the road that you want to walk down. My friends, I only came here for 5 minutes to speak, not to drag it out. But let's look at the bullshit that goes on around the world, around religion. This week, 3 Israeli teenagers were killed. 3 Israeli teenagers. And in the process of trying to find who was responsible for killing 3 Israeli Jews, the Israeli government killed 14 Palestinians in 2 weeks. The world's media discusses the death of 3 Israelis. The BBC, Channel 4, CNN, they give all the airspace to the Israeli ambassadors, to Mark Regev, the Israeli spokespersons. All of the Israelis can talk about their outrage. The BBC takes you to the funeral of the 3 teenagers killed. The BBC talks to the family. The BBC talks about how this child, Israel, wants revenge. And then, days later, a 15-year-old Palestinian, a 16-year-old Palestinian is kidnapped and murdered. Days later, a 15-year-old Palestinian who is actually an American Palestinian, a 15-year-old is brutally beaten, butchered and tortured by the Israeli security services. Where are the BBC then? Where are CNN? Where are Sky News when Palestinians are suffering? And then we have them say, oh, there is violence on both sides. What bullshit! That takes you away from the real, honest debate. There is not violence from one side. The Israeli security services claim that they beat the 15-year-old because what? He was throwing stones. He was throwing stones. They murder Palestinians on the basis of throwing stones. Now I believe it's all right. Of course, they should murder Palestinians for throwing stones because some of those stones are sharp. And it could have your eye out. Could have taken someone's eye out. But the Israelis, when the Israelis fight Palestinians, they fight with $3 billion of American military aid, Apache helicopter gunships, F-16 fighter jets. That's how they kill Palestinians. Imagine. They say there's violence on both sides. No, there's violence on one side. How can the Israelis enter someone's home where they have lived for thousands of years and tell the people who lived in the house that now they must take their family and live in the toilet in their own house? And when the people resist, when the people try and fight back to regain their home, they're called aggressors. The people who have stolen the house are seen as the victims. Why is that? Because of the power of the Zionist lobby. They have the strength to manipulate the media to the point that Palestinians have no voice in the media. Gaza is the most densely populated territory on earth. On earth! Yet the Palestinian people have no voice. There is no one in the world. I mean, imagine America. The United Snakes of America. The United Snakes support Israel with $3 billion a year, Apache helicopter gunships, F-16s, and then have the audacity to call themselves the independent arbitrators of peace in the Middle East.
Can you talk about Viagra, please?
Can I talk about Viagra?
Yes.
Sir, I don't need it. He says when I talk about Viagra, he wants to be a suicide heckler. You're in the wrong meeting, my brother. If you want to talk about Viagra, talk to your wife about Viagra. Imagine. My friends, I'm saying to you, look at what they've done. They have butchered the world with capitalism, with their greed. Tony Blair, a butcher, a man who should be in jail, a man who should be in jail in the ICC, charged with crimes against humanity, charged with war crimes, with murder. But oh no, Tony Blair isn't in jail. He stands as the fucking peace envoy for the Middle East. It's disgraceful. We have the butchers of war and mayhem around the world. Paul Wolfowitz became the president of the World Bank. We have all of these bankers stealing billions upon billions every year. The government allows them to get away with it. And then in the media, the very state-run, sponsored media, which is hand in glove with the state, they then start attacking benefit fraudsters and say, oh, there's a single mother, she's claimed £20 too much. And then there's all this odium from the British public against a woman or a man who's claimed £20 a week more benefits than they're entitled to. We have our priorities wrong. But I say this, the technology is there. Look at it now. You can film in the park. Look at this technology. You would have thought that with this technology we could create real and meaningful revolution. We could start tweeting or Facebooking or messaging saying, listen, enough is enough. I don't have to be a lone voice suffering in silence. Let me utilize the technology to create revolution. Let the internet be my AK-47 and my tweets be my ammunition. Let me begin a revolution, new age technology. But oh no, they give us this technology already realizing that mentally we are in a different space, a space of self, ego, narcissism. We don't concern about our neighbors, our families, our communities, our societies. We're so concerned with self that these clowns are so arrogantly confident that they can give you the AK-47 and know that you're not going to use it against anyone but yourselves. It is there. So you have technology, you have Facebook, you have MySpace, you have Twitter, you have all these things. And what do you do with it? You send your foolish tweets. Hi, I just bought a new handbag. Hi, I just had a hot chocolate. Hi, I was in Starbucks, I had a mochaccino. Send. And then some stupid ass fucking clown come back and say, I like that. And then some other idiot comes and shares it. And then others start posting around, I don't like Starbucks, I prefer McDonald's coffee. And you have these bullshit conversations about nothingness. Nothingness. You go on your YouTubes and your internet and you see Pakistani village bombed by American drone killing 36. And it has 1,500 hits. And then you type in Paris Hilton blows her nose and it has 10 million hits. And you wonder what the fuck I'm angry about. Man, I leave you or you to your own devices. But I was only here for 5 minutes. All I'm saying is the tools of revolution are out there if you use it. You Muslims, where are you Muslims? You Muslims, you're not good at terrorism. So give it up. It does not mean that you cannot engage in revolution. You can, but change the way in which you go about it. And leave it to the professionals. The Americans are good killers. The British, they're good killers. They kill with planes, tanks. But you, and I can understand your frustration, very rarely or oddly, because I don't want to sell the idea that Muslims are terrorists. No. The odd Muslim youth who gets angry and says, I want to do something about this, goes and buy a ton of fertilizer on his credit card and gets it delivered to his house. I'm going to do something about it.
4 lions.
You're not good at terrorism. So if you want to engage in terrorism, my brothers, utilize new technology, because today the revolution is about information. Look at how the West have you Muslims fighting against yourselves. They have Sunni fighting Shia, Iraq fighting Iranian, Syrian fighting Syrian, Lebanese fighting Lebanese. Look at what they've done. Deliberate. Let me tell you this, and I've been in the struggles for a long time. I've been speaking in this park for 28 years. Prior to the first Gulf War, prior to when people even thought about you Muslims, when you Muslims could just get on with being Muslims without the focus of attention being on you. And let me say this, back in the day, there was one cause, one war, one conflict that united all of you Muslims, whether you were a Muslim from Nigeria, Indonesia, Saudi Arabia, Pakistan, Bahrain, Iran, Iraq, whether you were Sunni or Shia. There was one conflict that united all of you Muslims. Where was that? Palestine. Palestine. Palestine was that one conflict that united all Muslims, black or white, Sunni or Shia, Pakistani or Nigerian. Yet, now what they have done, they have you Muslims fighting Muslims. So they have created distractions. So now Israel is safe. Because you Muslims are fighting amongst yourselves.
the Muslims and give Saudi Arabia to the Israelis?
Would I give he said, would I give Palestine to the Palestinians and Saudi Arabia? Sorry, give Palestine to the Muslims and give Saudi Arabia to the Israelis. My friend, what claim do Israelis have to Saudi Arabia? In fact, I tell you what, I believe the House of Al Saud shouldn't be there. I believe Saudi Arabia should be in the hands of the Saudi people, the real people. The House of Al Saud, I don't care nothing about. They are corrupt, cocaine snorting, champagne drinking motherfuckers. Mean nothing to me. But I can get your point. Let's debate this. Are you Jewish? No. Why do you suggest that Israel should have Saudi Arabia?
Because all the Muslims, they want Palestine, and the Israelis says that it's their Jewish land.
Israel came into existence in 1948.
No, I'm sorry.
Hold on, sir. Hold on, sir. Hold on, sir. Israel came into existence, realized in the world in 1948. He says well before. Now, sir, if we look at the people of Israel who call themselves Jews in Israel, every time I look on the TV screen, every Israeli spokesperson has an American accent. Now you can be on, sir. Hold on. The reason is
because everybody is immigrating.
Because everybody's immigrated. Exactly right. Whose side are you on? That's important. Of course, sir, you're right. So everyone has immigrated. So they are European. The majority, over 25% of the Israeli Knesset government are Russian Jews.
How many prime ministers have been in Israel?
Just Russian. Hold on, just Russian. Now, sir, when we look at the people who call themselves Israelis, and I'm not anti-Jewish, I'm anti-Zionist. Those Zionists who live in Israel, the majority of which come from Eastern Europe,
Zionists are Jewish.
They are white people.
They are Jewish.
Sir, you say they were there before. I'm not arguing with you about history or politics. Let's argue about biology. Let's argue about genealogy. If I said to you I was Chinese, you would have a problem with that, wouldn't you? It wouldn't sit right, would it? It wouldn't sit right. There'll be something of which you'll be saying, something just isn't right here.
Excuse me.
Hold on, sir. Hold on, sir. I'm asking you honestly. If I said to you I was Chinese, most of you would have a problem with it. Likewise, those people who claim to be Jewish from Israel, they converted to the religion. They are Caucasian. It is biologically and genealogically impossible for them to have originated from that portion of the world. Impossible. Now, when you talk about Israel being in existence, of course we can say, well, borders form and countries are formed. If we look at Turkey, Saudi Arabia, Iraq, Iran, it was the British and the French who created these countries. Are we saying that the people of Iran didn't exist until the British drew the borders? No, they did exist. So, likewise, it is fair to say Judaism is a religion and not a race.
Excuse me, Israel comes before Palestine.
Of course, my friend,
Palestine has changed.
Let's not dispute that. Let's not dispute that. However, the people who occupied Israel were the Palestinian people who are there now. The same Palestinians, because their faith, the religion is what changed. Those people who are from Iran, prior to becoming Muslims, they were Zoroastrians. They worshipped fire, but they were still there. From the Ottoman Empire, before they divided the Ottoman Empire and created Iraq, Iran, Syria, and all the rest of these places, they existed prior to that. So it is a very mute point you present when you say, oh, but it was Israel. My friend, in 1984-85, the Israelis airlifted thousands upon thousands of Ethiopian Falasha Jews. Those Jews, they were kept in camps in Israel because it was said that their version of Judaism was not up to date, it needed to be refined.
They were inferior
Hold on,
Jews.
hold on. the highest rate of suicide amongst Jews in the military was Ethiopian Jews. Why? Because they complained of racism.
They were treated like shit.
I was in Israel. In fact, I was arrested and taken to Israel about 4 years ago.
We had a conversation.
We had a conversation. I was in Ramla Given prison. When I was there, when I was in prison, I had the opportunity to see. Most of the prison guards were Ethiopian. Most of the blue-collar labor were Ethiopian. So my brother, I am not anti-Jewish. I am anti-Zionist. And in being anti-Zionist also, I can show you the balance in my thinking, in that I believe that now, because so many people were born in Israel from 1948 onwards who call themselves Israeli, and they are, I believe that there has to be, the only way forward is a two-state solution.
Yes, yes.
The problem with that is the government of Israel and Netanyahu and these right-wing fascists, they're opposed to peace. So I say, the real problem is not the Palestinian or even the Israeli people, but the Palestinians and the Israeli leadership.
There is no trust in the people.
We have Mahmoud Abbas, who's corrupt as hell. Corrupt as hell. He's a stooge. So I say, when I meet Palestinian people, the Palestinians I meet who are ordinary rank and file Palestinians, they want peace. They want to live in peace, but they want to live in peace with defined borders which are fair, not delineated by a wall that Israel has built. Likewise, when I meet Israelis and we talk on the ground, we can break bread and discuss honestly, and they say we want peace. So I don't blame, I am not anti the Israeli people or anti the Palestinian. I am pro-Palestinian and I'm pro-humanity, and I'm pro the people of Israel and Palestine finding a long and lasting peace. But there are too many corrupt players at the poker table. America cannot sit at the poker table. America cannot call itself an independent arbitrator of peace when it supports Israel with $3 billion a year, F-16s, Apache helicopter gunships, and all this sophisticated technology. It cannot be an independent partner of the peace.
That's going to stop.
Netanyahu and its government, you're going to take me up to Pakistan. Yes, yes, my brother, please do. And you as a white man, when you get there with me, I will eat you. And wipe up the sauce with some chapati. My friends, we are all victims of it. But I'm saying, if we want to build lasting peace, do not let the politicians do that. Build lasting peace from the ground up, because then you have firm foundations. If you Muslims, Palestinians, Jews want to build a lasting peace, start it today. Start it now. Start it by having conversations with each other on the grounds about your beliefs, about your opinions. Don't fight and argue, because people have opinions for whatever they're worth. I say this without reservation or apology. If I were a Palestinian, the likelihood is that I would most probably be a suicide bomber or someone using extreme methods or means to reclaim my own land. I know that from the personality and character that I have. If I were a Palestinian, I might be a suicide bomber. But if I were an Israeli, I too might be a part of the IDF. I too might be a militant radical claiming that these lands are ours and you Palestinians must die. Because I'm saying to you, both sides are victims of history with sharp ideological differences that need to be negotiated and mediated. Now, one person who I admire in a real sense, and in fact by all rights I should hate him, was that Israeli general, the most famous Israeli general, Moshe Dayan. Moshe Dayan, after the Six-Day War, after he demonstrated the strength of the Israeli army, he said that we should only occupy these lands temporarily. That was Moshe Dayan. Now you have to remember, in the early days, Israel has actually proved itself, and I actually respect Israel in one sense, and Israel should be used as an example for you Muslims. Because what Israelis have done, or Jews have done, they have shown what you can achieve when you stick together, when you work together, when you organize. That has been you Muslims' failure. They have demonstrated what you can achieve. Remember, people did not think that Israel would survive. Israel wasn't receiving assistance from America or France or Britain. People thought after 1948 that the Muslims are going to amass, which they did, and they were going to chase Israel, the Jews, into the sea. As a result of certain circumstances in history, whereby we saw the persecution of Jews, not just in Germany, because people have the idea that Jews are persecuted in Germany. No, they were persecuted right across Europe. As a result of that persecution, the Jews said we need a homeland of our own. And they said, never again. So they were determined to train, to arm themselves, to create elite military squads. I don't condone it because I think they've become brutal. They've suppressed, murdered, butchered Palestinians. But they have done it in the name of their own survival. Jews don't hate Palestinians because they're Muslim. Palestinians don't hate Jews because they're Jewish. The issue that people are fighting about is land. It's all about land. The Jews want the land and the Palestinians want their land back. The Jews could be Jamaicans and the Palestinians say these fucking Jamaicans. Likewise, we could be, as Jamaicans, be saying we deserve a homeland, man. Cha, this land good and fertile to grow some good herbs. Either way, stereotypes, but you get the gist. I'm saying to you, the issues of history.
Would you give 1% of land for peace?
Would I give 1% of land for peace?
Yes.
Of course I would.
This is what
It's necessary. It's necessary. However, what we have, what is happening in Israel is the Israeli government are building settlements. What we had I say, here's a solution, a quick solution, immediate solution to the Israeli-Palestinian problem. And in fact, we don't have to go to the UN to demand resolutions because everything is already there. I say revert back to the borders of 1967 as pre-67, which as are affirmed by resolution 242. Go back to that resolution.
All you have to do.
That's all you have to do, and each side respects the borders and boundaries, and then we have a two-state solution. That's all we need. But what we have is we have the Israeli government building illegal settlements, whereby they then have in their pockets corrupt Western governments. This devil Barack Obama, that devil Barack Obama. Barack Obama is a devil. He's a fraud. And I'm so looking at how these black fools in America and across the world. He's a Muslim. He ain't a Muslim, he's a Jew. He went to the Wailing. Haven't you seen pictures of him at the Wailing Wall?
So what?
In fact, you see, everyone's fighting over Barack. You Muslims are so damn stupid. So stupid. Barack, I mean, imagine. We had Operation Cast Lead. Operation Cast Lead, whereby Israel butchered and murdered over 1,500 Palestinians. Barack Obama goes to Israel and spends 3 days. 3 days. He goes to the Wailing Wall. He then goes to the West Bank and spends 2 hours. 2 hours. He then goes to Egypt, and in Egypt he says, he said, Assalamu alaikum. And you Muslims like, oh Jesus, all he said was Assalamu alaikum. He greeted you in the Muslim words of how are you? And Barack Obama was greeted with all of this euphoria. You so believed in Barack Obama. Likewise, Barack Obama is a fraud. Barack Obama represents corporate America. Corporate America. That's where the Zionist lobby has tapped into. So we're not even talking about Barack Obama supporting Israel because you're Jews. We're talking about corporate level of greed. Barack Obama is a warmonger. Barack Obama is worse than George Bush. But because he's black, the nigger gets away with it. He gets away with it.
I must go home.
You must go home.
So,
Barack Obama is a fraud.
so who is the
He has dropped more bombs on Afghanistan and Pakistan and created more war across the Middle East than George Bush ever could.
Who is the good Muslim?
Me.
Who is a
Who
good
is the good Muslim?
My friend, what sort of a question is that? Who is a good Muslim?
Stupid question.
My friend, sir, you use such a subjective argument. Being good or bad are subjective terms. I can't say, oh, that's a good Muslim and he's a bad one, because these are subjective ideas which I hold. What you should do is go out there and meet him. And we should not even think about whether they're a good Muslim or not. You should think about whether he's a good person or not. Because when I meet people, I don't say, oh, he's a good white man. Oh, he's a good white Muslim. Oh, this is a good Arab Muslim. Oh, this is a bad black man. I don't like that mustache. It tells a lot about you. No, my brother, we are meeting people. And that's what we need to do. We need to deconstruct how we see the world. Because when we start seeing blacks as problems, or immigrants as problems, or groups as problems, then we have problems with it. When we start seeing each other as one humanity, then we can move forward. So my brother, my message is, I do not support the murder, the death and the killing of what's going on in Palestine. And I believe that we need to find a solution. But we will not find a solution by sitting down on our laurels. We have to stand up. We all have to see it as part of our cause. We all have to take responsibility for the governments that we have in power. These governments are corrupt, and I'm not saying by going out and voting, because I don't necessarily believe that voting does anything. The whole system has become corrupted. It's corrupted. Money will win all the time. Let's go out with our values. Let's make sure that we know what we stand for. Back in the day, we were in most societies, we were concerned about families. These were the central core values of our being when we were younger. Family, society, community, and then that community's responsibilities to the broader national society. Education, that all came as a part of it. Back when I was growing up, you could leave a milk on your doorstep and bread on your doorstep, and this would be a good social indicator that you are all right or not. Because if your milk or bread wasn't collected for 2 days, you'd call the police and say, Mrs. Smith next door ain't collected her bread and milk. Something must be wrong. So someone would go and check on her. Nowadays, you can't leave your bread and milk outside. Your neighbor's gonna steal it to finance an illusionary lifestyle beyond whatever it is, an illusion. Because nowadays, we're not concerned about family, society, community. We're concerned about the shoes we wear, the car we drive, the handbags that we carry, the house we live in, how handsome or how pretty our wives or husbands are, or girlfriends are. We become illusionary beings, concerned more about money, 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 money. What we can do with money. I'm going to get a new car when I get more money. I'm going to build an extension of the house when I get more money. The working man in England, when I was growing up, was satisfied with his lot. If the working man and woman could get one holiday a year, and that would be to Bognor Bloody Regis. If you got to Margate or Brighton, Margate and Brighton sounded tropical. It sounded like you were going to Brazil. If you said you're going to Blackpool, we had a big ride, like flat hell, going to America, Disney World. Tell me it's a lie, I'm telling. But now, in the 80s, when Thatcher and Reagan deconstructed the working man's values and said, go out, people say, oh, it's the rappers, look at these musicians, Tupac, 50 Cent, get rich or die trying. Fuck that. These weren't the guys who said get rich or die trying. It was Thatcher and Reagan. Said, go out and get what you can, any which way you want to. So you had the ordinary working man give up his job in a factory to become a financial advisor, seeing how he can make some money. I want to work in an office, be a blue collar. They deconstructed everything. But I'm saying to you that the architects of the system that we live under now, it is by no accident. They make you believe that it's just by the innovations of great technology and new minds coming together to create what you need. But what they do, of course, that is that as well. But we have a pool of technological advancements always out there. The internet has been out there for years before they made it public. So they have all of this technology and they pick and choose what they're going to give us at any time as to how it will serve their needs to make us serve them better. So they pull out some technology and say, oh, let's give this to them. So they give us the internet. They give us social media. And we think, wow, look at social media. The social media is constructed upon whom you are and how you see yourself in the modern, real technological experience. So now we have people taking selfies. Why? Because they recognize that this technology, they have the great minds on it, understanding how you interpret it. So they realize that the mind of 20, 30 years ago was focused on family, community, society. The mind of today is focused on self. Me. Who am I? What do I got? What I don't like. So they tell you about selfies, the ego, narcissism, me. They tell you about YouTube, about you. They tell you about Facebook, about you, face. They tell you about my space. And all of these things, illusions, these are constructed to deal and address with your narcissism. So what Facebook does, what Twitter does, it allows you too to be a miniature celebrity. So you too can put a photograph of yourself up on Facebook where you were 15 years younger and 20 pounds lighter, with your best side showing. And you can sell all these illusions about yourself. I like animals and I like rock. It's nonsense. Because they realize that you will not use this new technology to create revolution. And I'm simply saying, as I close, that we are all the same people, regardless of sex, race, creed, color, sexual orientation, political persuasion, religious denomination. We are all the same people. It just depends how we look at the picture. When we look at the BNP and all of these groups, I don't blame the BNP for being so radical, because the BNP have tapped into a niche market. Because the politicians, the parties, the Conservatives, the Labour Party, they're all the same. In fact, they're more racist than the BNP. But they do not allow the debate that the people, the working people of certain spaces want to have. Some working people want to ask a legitimate question: what about jobs for my family, for my kids? Imagine growing up on a working class estate, and then you see immigrants starting to come in. And then you start saying, well boy, when my children get older, where are they going to live in social housing? Or you start seeing the job market, competition for jobs. You say, where will my son or daughter be employed? We're looking at competition, and this is natural with certain groups. However, the problem has been, people who have those points of views are not being given any channels or outlets to voice their opinions on these subjects. And so when they stifle that debate, you have groups like the BNP and all these other far right-wing groups step into the vacuum and then begin to represent these views, even though the voter may not necessarily support their broader views. They support them on those issues. We need to continue debate in society. Only through debate and discussion will we solve some of the world's ills. So with that, I will love you and leave you. Are there any questions before I close? No? Thank you very much. Power to all people.